Savannah. And in case you're wondering, it's S-A-V-A-N-N-A with no H because H's are L. And today is a super special day because joining me is one of my besties, Claire Peterson.
I love you.
Ew, I know. Thanks for coming today, Claire. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, my name's Claire, I'm 13 and a half, and I like to eat Skittles, and I'm really good at makeovers.
Do you do your own makeup?
Yeah. Ew. I love it.
So, Claire, do you like shopping?
Ew, who doesn't?
Like, what are your favorite places to go?
Well, obviously I like going to Hollister and Abercrombie & Fitch. But I think my favorite place to go is Justice, because I can, like, buy all the stuff I could ever dream of.
Oh my gosh! I love Justice! We're totally going shopping sometime together. Alright, it's time for show and tell. Claire, what did you bring us today?
I brought my Bible, because it's, like, so important to me, and I like reading it and stuff.
Ew. Is the Bible even reliable? Isn't it like infinity years old?
No, it's totes reliable. Seriously.
Oh.
Yeah, you should check it out sometime, and read it.
Ew. I think I will. Okay, now it's my turn. And, I'm gonna perform a dance to my favorite song, Shake It Off by Taylor Swift.
Cause the players wanna play, and the haters gotta hate, baby. I'm just gonna shake. Shake it off, shake it off. Heartbreakers gonna break, and the biggest gonna break.
Gals, how's it going? That's one funky jam you girls are listening to.
Ow! It's my stepdad, Jerry. What do you want, Jerry?
I just came down to see if you girls wanted to come upstairs. Me and your mom play a game of Bibleopoly.
Ow!
Are you sure? It's gonna be fun.
More like it's gonna be L.
Suit yourselves. You gals are missing out on the chance of the evening. Sure you don't even want to sing the song? Bibleopoly is where the fun's at. First you roll the dice, say something nice, buy a property before the right price. You buy everything and then you get them all, but if your mom catches you cheating, she'll get mad and then she'll start throwing it at the wall, your mother. And then you do...
Ow! Get out of here, Jerry!
Alright, you girls have a fun evening now.
Just live, Jerry. So old and boring.
Ooh, you guys.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. Okay, it's time for the L spin round. No, England Patriots.
Ew. Calchups.
Ew. Phones with cards.
Ew, gross.
What's the point?
Popcorn.
Ow! It's stuck in my teeth! Mark Howard.
Cat.
What?
Yeah, he's like my high school ministry's pastor at church, and he's a really good preacher, and he speaks a lot, and he's really good.
High school ministries? Never heard of that.
The Holy Bible.
I like that one. Treadmills.
Ew, who cares?
I'm not. Who cares? Ew. Alright, that's all the time we have for today on Ew. And I just want to thank Claire Peterson so much for joining me. Thank you, Claire. Bye. Okay, everybody. Join me next week for our next episode of Ew. Bye-bye. I don't know about
but I thought those were two of the ugliest chicks I've ever seen in my life. Especially that one on the right with the makeup. Hideous. Ew. We're kicking off a new series this month and next month as well, where we're going to try and answer some of the difficult questions about life and faith and the church and Christianity and the Bible that a lot of us have, and that certainly a lot of people in our world have as well. And we're starting that series tonight by asking the question, can I trust the Bible? And I know that that's one that I get a lot from students and even from friends. I was having lunch a couple weeks ago with a college buddy. I lived with him for a year, and he's a guy who in college he was an agnostic and had no faith background at all, just a pretty hard partier. And I've been praying for him for years, for a really long time. And we've had a lot of deep conversations about life and faith. And a couple years ago, God just got a hold of his life. Like he met Jesus and the light turned on for him. And so he's been following Christ ever since, and he's digging into the Bible now. And at lunch he asked me this question. He said, okay, you're a pastor, Mike, and you've been a Christian all your life. You've been reading the Bible for a really long time. Is it okay that I don't understand everything in there? Because sometimes it just seems weird. And I told him, yes. I hope it's okay if you don't understand everything in there, because I studied it. I have a master's degree in it, and I've been reading it all my life, and I don't always understand everything that's in there, and sometimes it is weird, and it's difficult to read. Sometimes we get in Leviticus, and there's these long passages of names and numbers that sometimes don't make a lot of sense to us in our culture. And I got another buddy who's taking a class with an atheist professor who's challenging the Bible and telling us it's not true and that it's not reliable. And our world seems to latch on to that idea, and there are a lot of people out there who wonder, like, okay, is this book, is it reliable enough to base my faith on? Is it reliable enough to put my trust in? Is it reliable enough to shape my life? And what I want to do briefly tonight is talk about the Bible, just the book itself, and answer three basic questions, because I think all the questions about the truth and the reliability of the Bible, or all the questions about the reliability of it, boil down to three questions. Is it textually reliable? Is it historically reliable? And is it culturally reliable? Which is to say, like, is what we're reading, I mean, we know that it's translated into English, right? It wasn't written in that. It was written in Greek and Hebrew, and it was written thousands of years ago, and it's been translated in English. Is what we're reading what they actually wrote, or has it just been changed over time and added to and taken away from? Is it textually reliable? Is it historically reliable? Did this stuff actually happen? Like, did these people really live, or is it just a bunch of fairy tales that are made up? And is it culturally reliable? Like, does this ancient book that's super old have anything to say to us and in our evolved modern conscience today? And I'm not going to rehash everything that I said on Sunday, but I am going to put a worksheet online. You're going to be able to find it. I'll tweet out a link to it, and I'll put it on the Elevate Facebook page so you can see there's not a worksheet, a handout that talks about those three questions and the way that the Bible answers them. But what I want to tell you tonight, what I want everyone to walk out of house groups convinced of it, is this. The Bible is the most unique book that has ever been written. There's not another book like it, not even another religious text in the history of the world. Most other religious texts even are written by one person, that one guy who sat down and wrote out all of his thoughts. And the Bible is this book that's written by a whole bunch of different authors over the course of thousands of years, all compiled into one volume. There's not another book like it in the history of the world. And is it reliable? Well, in fact, it's the most textually reliable book in the history of the world. Not just say that because I'm a pastor and I'm like, oh yeah, it's textually reliable, you should read it. Critical scholars and literary scholars apply a bunch of different questions to ancient books to ask, like, is this reliable? Is it what was actually written? And how much has it been changed? And the Bible blows every other book out of the water. Like, it's not even mathematically close how reliable the Bible is compared to almost every other book that's ever been written, most of which we can't even figure out whether they're reliable or not. Most of them have so few copies, we don't even know whether we're actually reading what was written. And the Bible has thousands of copies, and the only difference between them is minor misspellings. And is it historically reliable? Yes, there's all kinds of evidence that these people actually existed in books outside the Bible. It's not just the Bible that talks about them. It's books by people who weren't Jews or weren't even Christians, by Romans. Historians like Josephus and Philo and Seneca write about Jesus, and they write about the people in the Bible and the way that the Bible's written. It's written as history. It's not written as fiction. It stands out as unique in ancient literature. The kind of stories that the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John tell are these detailed, intricate stories of Jesus' life, and no one wrote stories like that for another 1,700 years. They're written as eyewitness accounts because they are, and there's all this historical evidence that yeah, it really happened. There's not another book with that kind of historical evidence in the history of the world. And is it culturally reliable? This is the big hang-up, I think, for most people in our world. Because we read the Bible and we read some of the stuff that it says about who we should be and what we should give and what our lives should look like, and we don't want to follow it. Like, Jesus is a really inconvenient guy sometimes, and so we read it and we think, this book is so old, it doesn't have anything to say to me. Like, humanity has gone beyond what the Bible has to say, and we don't want to listen to it because it's difficult. And I think the single biggest reason that people look at this book that is unique in the history of the world and its reliability, unique in the history of the world and its historical reliability, and want to reject it is because we don't want to follow it, because it challenges who we are. It forces us to be different, and my argument is to you and to everyone in our world, that's exactly what makes it culturally reliable. If it was this comfortable book that didn't challenge us, then what in the world would it be? And why would we need it? Instead, it's this book that challenges us and contains stories and the self-revelation of this God who calls us to be everything that He created us to be. And if God can't challenge you, and if God can't ask you to change, and if God can't change the way that you think and the way that you live, and God can't tell you, I created you and I created you for something different and something better than this, I created you for more. If He can't challenge you and ask you to change, then He's not God. You are. Then He's not anything other than some projection of your own conscience. And so the Bible's culturally reliable because it still speaks into us today. It still asks us to change. It still calls us to something better than the lives that we're living right now, to something more, to something that the Creator of the universe created us for. So the short answer, and again, check out the handout for more detail, is that the Bible is the most reliable book that's ever been written, textually, historically, and culturally. It's the most trustworthy piece of literature that's ever been written. It's the only book written by multiple authors over thousands of years. It's copied exactly. These people actually existed, and it speaks to you and to me. There's not another book like it in the history of the world. It's the #1 best-selling, most read book ever. And all that evidence, the mountain of evidence that the Bible is reliable and that it's true and that it's unique in the history of the world, all of that mountain of evidence is not why I believe the Bible. It's not why I believe that it's true. Because see, there's all these religions, again, all these other faiths that have holy books that believe that something is true. And even atheists and agnostics in our world want to believe that something is true. And they might look at something that some guy wrote and say, well that's true because it was written. See, Christianity is different than that. As Christians, we don't believe that something is true. We believe that something happened. So the most important thing for us isn't some ethereal concept that was written down by somebody thousands of years ago. The most important thing for us is an historical event. We believe that something happened. Everybody knows that Jesus Christ lived. And everybody knows that the Romans killed him. That's not just Christian history, that's Roman history. That everybody knows. Jesus lived and the Romans killed him and the world changed forever because this nobody carpenter from Nazareth came and died. And Western history, the entire history of civilization changed because of that man. Everybody knows that. But we believe something happened. Christianity is about believing that God is alive, that he rose from the dead, that 12 guys, that hundreds of his followers had nothing to gain by pretending that he was alive and everything to lose, and every one of them lost their lives telling the world that he was risen. We have every historical, sociological, and logical reason to believe that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. And I'll tell you what, I don't believe in Jesus because I believe that the Bible is true. I believe that the Bible is true because I believe that Jesus is risen. If Christ is risen, that changes everything. If Christ is risen, that explains why Western history changed, because one carpenter from Nazareth got killed by the Romans. But he didn't stay there. He didn't stay dead. He rose again from the dead, and he believed the Bible. And he told us that the Bible is God's self-revelation. It's God telling us who he is and who he created us to be. And so my challenge to you guys tonight is this. Read it. Read it. Like, if you want to take your life seriously, and you want to take your mortality seriously and everything seriously, you have to read this book. Whether you believe that it's true in everything that it says or not, it's absolutely reliable. It's the most impactful book in the history of the world. It's changed the course of civilization, and it contains the story of the God who came for us. And because he's alive, we can trust every word of the Bible. And so my challenge to you is read it. Take a step. And if you don't even know where to start, ask your leader. We're going to provide you guys with some resources tonight, like some places to just start. Read the Bible. Allow it to change your life. Amen.